I am Cheryl. I teach a class called Vitamin MM, and this is a little movement lesson that came out of a recent class. And so I wanted to share this with you. So the question that was asked was, how do I make it easier to sort of grasp and hold and lift things that are heavy when I've got, weakness in my hands and issues with my wrist? And so I took on the challenge to work through a way to source the support for reaching and grasping coming all the way from our feet and the ground. So I'm just going to run through the movement elements in this movement study. So the first is this idea of having your feet fully in contact with the ground. And so just starting to notice, even just in sitting, where the parts of your feet that feel like they're more in contact with the ground, that you're feeling more pressure. And so you may want to color in your mind's eye, the parts that have greater contact, greater pressure, a dark blue. So I would color the outside edge of my left heel as dark blue, and maybe the ball of my right foot is dark blue, and then coloring in the parts of your foot that have less contact, less pressure. So maybe you want to color them in a light blue. So just noticing your own personal pattern of what that contact is. And so the first sort of movement exploration we did was just to focus on lifting the left edges of both feet and then rolling through and lifting the right edges of both feet, and doing that a few times. The caveat I would make is, if you're making that happen because you're moving your legs so that you can just tilt your feet up, that's not it. We're looking at keeping your knees relatively quiet and having this movement come through your ankle bone and your ankle joints, so that as you turn your feet to the left, the left sides of your ankle get smaller, closes down, and you're opening the right side of your ankle. And then as you move right, that tilting the left side of your feet up. So it'll be the inside arch of your right foot and the outside edge of your left foot, that movement is happening through your ankle. And then coming back and noticing, is there any difference in the pressure pattern that you colored with your feet? So that flattened, smooth, moving towards even contact with the floor is step one. The next step is to push a little bit gently with your feet. If you do this with your hands on a surface, your hand will kind of flatten and widen. So doing this push and noticing that push brings you a little bit forward, a little bit up on the bones of your pelvis, on your sit bones, that those bony outcroppings at the base of your pelvis. And so it's not the same as like clenching your glutes to come up, but just pressing your feet and having this force through your legs come up into your pelvis. So that's step two, pressing into your feet, having your legs come up into your pelvis. And you'll notice that there's a kind of rising. So, your spine isn't collapsing backward with this motion. It's rising a little bit upward. And so bringing those three pieces together to notice, how that pressing, that widening of your feet translates into a line of movement up your legs, and then a line of lengthening through your spine. So this movement might be subtle, but connecting with this sense of lifting yourself simply because of the gentle pressure down. And then, you know, there's this task then of reaching for the bottle and making use of this pressing down, this lifting in, so that you're coming behind your hand in a more complete way. So if you test for yourself just to reach out and grab the bottle and notice how tightly you need to grab, and you can try that with one hand or the other, it's a really good way to kind of measure, like, how much am I having to use the strength of my hand to lift the bottle, and how heavy does the bottle feel with that strategy. By contrast, doing this process, pressing your feet, having the line come up, and then reaching forward, may or may not change your sense of weight, may or may not change how tightly you feel you need to grab, because we're only connecting the support from the ground so far up our spine. Let's add one more component for this movement study. And so bringing your hands forward, and this idea that your elbows coming a little bit in front of you, and that in fact your movement creates a line of your forearm, sort of this idea that this coming up and supporting yourself is also supporting your elbow as you come forward to reach for something. And so trying a few times this sense of pressing down, line come up, the line of your spine lengthens, bringing this line from your elbow to your hand, is almost as if you're bringing your whole body behind the grab and the lift. And so trying it a few times and just noticing how much pressure do I need to hold the bottle when I'm applying this line of support from my feet, legs, spine, through the line of my arms, and just see if that might not create an easier way, a slightly lighter way, slightly less grasping way to pick up the bottle. And so it's a way to bring all of yourself behind the reaching and the grabbing motion of your hand. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, it'd be great to see you at an upcoming class.